Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a tip and overlay, just showing you blending and cuticle application. So first off, I've got the thumbnail size on my training hand, and I'm going to reduce the well by clipping this sidewall to sidewall in a diagonal V shape, and then just trimming off those excess bits on the top there. And then I'm just going to take a file and I'm just going to file as if you're doing a square nail. So you want your file to be absolutely 90 degrees with the nail tip, and you're just going to go one direction, completely flatten that off, and just removing any of the little frilly bits with your file, just making sure that it's absolutely smooth, and then we'll move on. Okay, so as you can see, it's now the well is reduced. I'm going to take my nail trainer glue and I'm going to place a tiny little bead, obviously bearing in mind you have reduced the well, so you will need to apply less glue. I have noticed in the background I do have a pot that is open, which is a definite no-no. If you get any of your filings into that, it will compromise the formula. So just taking off any excess on the nail there and applying that, not too much pressure, but enough so that you don't get any air bubbles. Make sure it's nice and straight, line up sidewall to sidewall. And a lot of the time I am seeing people applying the nail tip facing downwards. It needs to be as straight as possible. I understand that these tips have a claw-like tendency on the sidewalls, but if you can get that first part of the sidewall straight as you can, when you file, perfection. So just moving on now. Okay, so just going over the sidewalls, both sidewalls, the free edge. I'm going to take off any dust. I'm just going to double check to make sure that those sidewalls are nice and straight coming out from the nail plate. And then we're just going to, if it's not, we're just going to go back over with the file and we're just going to straighten that back up. And then we'll move on to the blend. Okay, so I'm not saying this is the correct way to do it, but for me, I have found if you use the lighter side of the file, only focusing on that area, the contacts area, using the file, you will get through to like less cloudy effect much quicker. And as you can see, the nail tip did come off, which is very, very frustrating. So off camera I did apply a little bit more glue and carried on, which you will see kind of did affect the finished effect, but let's see. So we're just going to go back in, and as you can see, the sidewalls are nice and straight, free edge is nice and straight. So I'm just going to double check that with a little bit of filing. So I am going to do a slight coffin. So I'm just going to pull those free edge and sidewall in slightly, not an extreme coffin, but just ever so slightly, just so that you can tell the difference, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so as you can see, you use a very, very light touch, like really feather-light touch, and just keep going over the spot where you need to be blended. It will reduce the cloudiness, you will get a better finish, and I found this was the way that I passed my course. So as you can see, just going, I really am, like, I know it sounds quite harsh, but I'm barely pressing at all. So just going over, and then we're going to move on to the buffing step. I do have the orange and black buffers, but I couldn't find them, so I'm using an old buffer, and you'll see what happens. So as you can see, with the filing and buffing method, you've got a nice clean line there. I am just going back over to refine my sidewalls and my free edge to make sure they're what I'm looking for. And as you can see, just on that tip of that nail there, where it joins to the free edge, as I'm showing, there is a tiny bit of cloudiness. So I am just going to go back over that just to remove it as much as possible, and then we're going to move on to the next step. Okay, so next, once you've cleaned off your nail and you're absolutely happy with your blend, we're going to take these products. So this is just a dehydrator. Obviously on a normal nail it will evaporate a lot quicker. So just going in, I do normally double dehydrate, double prime, and as you saw there, just taking off that excess primer there, because there's no need to have that at all. But now that product is on top of the nail, you can see the blend that I have there, and it should be no cloudiness, and it should look as if it's just nail beds to free edge. So, application, you're just going to take a medium to small wettish bead, you're going to press onto the nail so that it releases more liquid, and you're just going to stroke it out side, and centre, and that's your tip then covered. You're then going to clean off your brush and go in with a slightly bigger bead, just tapping off any excess. You couldn't really see there, but I was just draining the back of the bead out. You're going to place it as close as humanly possible without touching that cuticle. You're just going to tap round using your brush like a pencil, going into the back there and just creating a barrier between the cuticle and the product with your brush. And then again, you're just going to come over and you're going to stroke it over sidewall, and middle. And then we're just going to make sure with this Essential Nails acrylic, even though I am using a different brand's high speed acrylic liquid, it doesn't set very quickly at all. So just checking my apex, just checking the thickness of the nail, which I obviously wasn't quite happy with because I've gone in with another cuticle bead, but I'm going to place that in the middle of the nail, so I would call this a stress ball. You're going to let that flow for a little bit longer this time. You're going to wet your brush and wipe it off, and again you're just going to tap that into the existing product, and then you're going to pull down sidewall, centre. So this is a little bit of an advanced technique, but I am going to be pinching the nail. So you just want to check that your nail's gone matte, the acrylic is setting up and polymerizing nicely, and the whole time I'm not actually taking any pressure off of that, just so that I don't indent those sidewalls. It's not crucial for tip and overlay, but certainly when you move on to sculpting, which I do a lot more of, pinching, if done correctly, will enhance the nail enhancement. It will increase longevity, strength, and as you can see there, it wasn't quite ready. I'm so used to a faster setting acrylic now that the Essential Nails one is just a little bit shocking, to be honest. So just using my fingers now, I know it's absolutely set, as you can hear all the way along. and just pinching just in case there's that little tiny bit of give in the nail, which will make that slender and beautiful. Moving on to filing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same filing routine I do for every nail, and that's starting underneath the side. I'm sorry that it cut off there. So it's starting under the sidewall, straightening out that sidewall, and then moving your file round to taper in those sidewalls onto your free edge. And as you can see, there was a little bit of a ridge between the sidewall and the apex of the nail, so I'm just going to contour that. And by contour I mean using your file to just file away and make sure that your free edges, your sidewalls, your cuticle, everything is in that nice horseshoe barrel shape. As you can see, I wasn't quite happy with the shape that I had and the application, so I'm just going back over around the cuticle area to make that nice and flush. And I did change the shape from square to squoval, so I'm just angling my file a little bit differently on the free edge and just going at a 45-degree angle opposed to a 90-degree angle, which will give you a nice square shape. If you do a 45, it will take off those sharp corners and it will make it almost like a rounded square, so a squoval, which is a very pretty shape, and I get asked that a lot. So I am just not still quite happy with that bit over the cuticle, so just bearing in mind it is close to the cuticle. So I'm just going back over that, and I'm just going to whip back over with my buffing block to make sure that I'm really happy, and then we'll move on. Now all my filing's finished, I've just gone over, made sure that I've removed all the dust, just rechecking all of my angles down the barrel of the nail, from the side profile, from my client's profile, which is where you turn your hand around. And I'm cheating a little bit and I'm using a gel polish because the Essential Nails one is absolutely hideous and I don't like it at all. So just butting that right up to the cuticle, dragging all the way down, and again button right up to the cuticle and dragging down. So as you can see, at the free edge is slightly darker. So my advice would be just maybe buff a little bit more right on that free edge. Can you see it's got that little corner there? If not, and I wasn't quite happy with my application, so I am going to go back in again and redo it. But yeah, just go back over until you're happy and see what happens. As you'll see in a minute, I did change my mind and I have gone in with the Essential Nails polish, the standard absolutely hideous polish. So you're going to make sure that cuticle application is absolutely banging. If it's not, which I wasn't quite happy with, making sure that you cap that tip, I'm just going to take a brush that has a non-acetone, a non-acetone based nail varnish remover, and I'm just going to clean up that cuticle. I'm going to wait for that to dry, do my second coat, and I'm going to go over with a second coat, and then I'm going to top coat. Quite happy with my second application. It was a little bit messy and I did flood the sidewalls, but this is not a problem. You can just take again your non-acetone based nail varnish remover on a brush and just clean up around the sides, and we're all finished. Other than top coat, we're all finished. So I hope this helps you guys. If not, let me know what will help you and I will try to do a video on that. And if not, I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay, love you guys, bye.